What's up, everybody? Chris Bello here, and in this video, I'm going to be doing something a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about 12 fun facts about me. I've done a lot of podcast interviews lately. I've interviewed a lot of guests. I've talked about certain topics, but I have not really talked about myself. And so, any of the new listeners out there, or even some of the old listeners who may be wanting to check in on what I'm up to, who's Chris outside of just being in real estate and being a podcast host. And so I am going to be answering a few questions that my virtual assistant, my main podcast manager, G Bell, put together for me. And a few of these questions were kind of funny. Like a favorite part of the body, I was like, oh, okay, what? But I will answer these as best as I can. I just put a couple of little bullet points and notes together so I can review them. But you'll get an idea of who I am outside of just real estate and podcasting. So again, I'm in real estate and podcasting. If you don't know that, you do know it now. I help people buy and sell real estate, invest in real estate across the nation, across the US. I'm based in Denver, Colorado, just moved here in March 2021 from Houston, Texas. Also just got engaged recently. So that's a little bit about me. But also, if you want a little bit of more behind the scenes type of stuff, I recommend you go follow me on Instagram. My handle is Chris Bello _. I post a lot on my stories. I need to get better at making regular posts, but like my stories kind of document the day in the life stuff. With that being said, let's get to the 12 points. So, number one, hobbies. I'd say my hobbies include exercising, traveling, playing the drums. I don't play so much these days, but I did start playing when I was in fifth grade. And more recently, I've been hiking and kayaking and doing outdoor stuff. Oh, also been playing spike ball lately. That's pretty fun and competitive. It's just fun to start to pick up a new skill and get good at it, be a little bit competitive from time to time. So those are some of my hobbies. Number two, favorite book. I would have to say Rich Dad Poor Dad. I've read this several times. It was one of the first books that I read that really got my mindset to change. If you've read the book, you know there's the rich dad, there's the poor dad. The poor dad is actually the one who has the higher education and went to college and is a teacher or something. I can't remember all the details. I need to reread it. And the rich dad, I don't believe he had a college education. He was a business owner and he just thought differently, abundantly versus scarcity mindset. So Rich Dad Poor Dad was one of my favorite books, if not my favorite. Number three, favorite part of the body. I was like, what? But I'm going to say hands because I do like holding my fiance's hands. I like, hugging her, but I also love getting massages and you kind of need hands, at least all the massages I've ever gotten. I've never had someone massage me with like their feet or something. So I would say hands are probably my favorite because you can also touch and feel. Yeah. So that's all I'm going to say on that. Number four, morning or evening routines. So my morning routine is The Miracle Morning. I read that book by Hal Elrod. Highly recommend it. I think I've read it twice at this point and it changed the game for me. It talks about the SAVERS method, which stands for silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing or journaling. So SAVERS is kind of the acronym you can use to remember that. And I do that every single day, every morning. It takes about an hour for me to finish the routine, and I read and all of that for about 25 minutes, meditate for about 10 minutes, but you can kind of make it fit your schedule. And there have been times where I've been busy. And so I've maybe cut it down to 20 minutes or 30 minutes, and maybe I've skipped on reading and fit in reading later in the day, or just skipped it for the day, depending on my schedule. In terms of evening routines, I don't have quite as crazy of an evening routine. At 9:30 p.m., my alarm goes off. It's kind of like a little bedtime alarm to notify me, hey, start getting ready for bed, take a shower, brush your teeth, do all of that good stuff and get to bed. So I can get to bed by around 10 or 10:30 p.m. on most days, sometimes on weekends too, if I'm exhausted, although I'll try to push a little bit longer. And I usually don't really set an alarm for the weekends to wake up, but I'll still wake up around 7 or 8 a.m. Whereas during the weekdays, I'll wake up around 6 or 6:15 a.m. Number five, what is Chris scared of? I'd say I'm kind of scared of becoming complacent and losing my hunger and drive, which, to be quite honest, I have lost a little bit lately because good is the enemy of great. I do have things pretty good. I am making some steady income in real estate. I'm making more than I need to survive, I guess, but I guess I could be more abundant and I know I can achieve way more. And there's so much more potential that I don't want to have untapped. So I'd say that's probably one of my biggest fears right now is just not realizing my full potential. Number six, extreme outdoor activities that I do. I'd say I don't really do anything too crazy right now. I have been skydiving. I have been scuba diving. I would like to do more of those things, but I have not recently. I've done some indoor skydiving, but yeah, hiking sometimes is a little crazy, but it's not really that crazy. I don't know. If you've been hiking, you kind of know what I'm talking about. Number 7, favorite movie. For my favorite movie, I don't really have something that comes to mind. I mean, there's been so many great movies I've seen. The one that I saw multiple times and maybe I liked when I was younger, I'd probably say like the Dark Knight trilogy, specifically Batman Begins, because that was like the first really cool Batman movie. Had awesome music, really cool soundtrack, some motivational stuff. Like I really love the part where, if you've seen it, if you haven't, spoiler alert, but I mean, this is just a cool quote from the movie. And if you know me and you listen to my content, you know I love quotes, but I love the part where, Rachel is there and like Scarecrow's like poisoning the city or whatever, and she doesn't know who Batman is, and she says something along the lines of like, wait, you could die, like who are you, or what's your name, or something like that. I forget, it's been a while, but I love the part where Batman tells Rachel, it's not who you are underneath, but what you do that defines you. And then he like jumps to save the city and the cool music starts up, and then she realizes, like, she's like, Bruce. She knows it's Bruce at that point. That part just gives me goosebumps for him. Like, damn, he's not the crazy billionaire playboy that she thought he was. He's actually this person who is saving the city and going out of his way to like take this cross upon himself. Super, super cool movie. It just fires me up. Number 8, do you sing? Do you dance? I'd say I do both, but not particularly well. I'm not a huge fan of dancing, proms and homecomings and all those things. I would just like go get the free strawberries, or not free, but I guess go and eat and sit at the table most of the time. I was not really much of a dancer before, and I do kind of dance sometimes, but I'm not particularly great at it. I would like to take lessons. Then for singing, I do try that occasionally, and I'll usually sing in the shower or in the car when nobody's really listening. And I like to think, I've recorded myself and listened to it. I like to think I'm okay. I'm not particularly amazing again, but I don't think I'm terrible. So hopefully that answers that question. Number 9, do you cook? I used to, but I really like healthy food. And so I always cooked pretty blandly. I would just put salt and pepper on everything. Never really tasted particularly amazing. But I've since started just ordering meal prepped food. I've tried a couple of providers like Icon Meals online and Snap Kitchen locally in Houston. And now that I'm in Denver, I found a local place called My Fit Foods, and that's been really good. The food actually tastes pretty good for being healthy and convenient. And so I just order that for the most part. So I'm not really cooking, and that allows me to save time and eat. I'm a productivity nerd, if you guys can't tell. I love to just pop something in the microwave, have something healthy, and not have any dishes to clean up. Number 10, who's your favorite cartoon character? I didn't even have to think about this very long. I would definitely say SpongeBob, hands down. It still cracks me up. If I were to watch that show right now as a 30-year-old, I would still laugh at almost everything. SpongeBob and Patrick, and of course Squidward and Mr. Krabs. And then the memes are also hilarious. Like every time I see a SpongeBob meme, it's like almost always fire. Number 11, one word that describes you. I would say consistent. A friend told me that one time as well, because every time I say I'm going to do something, I stick with it. I don't just drop things and switch back and forth. Like I've been doing my podcast for over 3 years. I've been exercising regularly since I was 13 or 14 years old without ever quitting or giving up or taking a break. Like if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm flexing a little bit. You can see my biceps. That's consistency. I've had, this kind of physique since I was probably 16, 17 is when I started developing like muscle and being ripped and being able to do the pec dance. And so I would say I'm very consistent. And then number 12, the craziest dream I've ever had. I don't really dream anymore, or at least I can't remember them. I usually just wake up and I'm like, oh, the alarm went off or whatever. And I can't even realize like if I had a dream or not. But I do remember when I was a kid that I would have this weird dream that like I'd sneak out onto the driveway and like this staircase would descend, or like a platform would descend from the driveway, and I could climb down into this mansion type thing. And then there was this dragon chasing me around or something, or I was fighting a dragon or flying on the dragon. I can't remember the details, but I do remember that as a kid, I would try to go to bed and like start thinking about this same dream and scenario when I went to bed, so that I can like dream that dream again and maybe continue the dream. So that's probably my craziest dream, because it was forcing me as a kid. I was inspired to actually think about it to try to get myself into the dream. So maybe I was doing this kind of Inception type stuff before Inception was even a movie. Think about that. But in any case, that's 12 things about me, fun facts that maybe you didn't know and that I didn't even really know because I hadn't taken the time to think of it. So thank you once again to my assistant for putting these questions together so you can learn a little bit more about me outside of just the real estate and the podcasting side. With that being said, that's all for this video. This is just more more of a fun get to know me type thing. And for this episode, if you're listening on the podcast, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to drop them in the comments below on YouTube. I'd be happy to answer them. Any podcast ideas or video topics or interviews, just reach out to me, DM me on Instagram, and I'll be more than happy to create content around it. With that said, that's all for today. Make sure to subscribe, hit the bell button if you're on YouTube, and leave a review if you are on Apple Podcasts. And I'll see you on the next episode. Thanks so much.